on it, but let's just, I guess, rewind in history a little bit, right?
Right, and I'm going to use some advanced 3D graphics, Prashant. And we have that advanced 3D graphics you can see right here on my table to explain to you what actually the entire coal scam is about. So let's start. You know, it started off obviously with Indira Gandhi, and where she had nationalized all coal blocks in 1970s. And then everything was going to go to Coal India. In the 1970s, from till the 1990s, Coal India was the only coal company which could sell mine coal. And by the early 90s, when we had actually liberalized, Coal India obviously had become a kind of a dinosaur. So that is why the government decided that what should we do? We need money to build infrastructure, to build power companies. This is a power company. It looks like a lighthouse, but actually it's a power company, and steel companies, right? So what does one do? One of the things that the government decided was that, okay, let us take and give captive coal blocks to power companies. So there were these smaller companies, let's look at them, they were kind of pawns in the game, right? And the government, what it did was it gave them captive coal blocks. And suddenly power companies, which were just pawns, were transformed magically into these princesses. Look at them. These power companies had become princesses because they had captive coal blocks and their profits just exploded, right? And this obviously didn't happen initially, but by the mid-2000s it started happening, and that is what the entire thing is about. And people said, why have they got it? Is there any reason why these people have become princesses and these companies remain pawns? The reason for that was largely arbitrary, and that is why the CAG, and here is the CAG for you, the CAG decided to do a report. It did an audit, and the report said that companies had gained lakhs and lakhs of crores at the cost of Coal India, and therefore at the cost of India overall, lakhs and lakhs of crores, and it will continue to gain, and that is why these princesses were princesses and others were pawns. The CBI was brought in. The CBI was brought in by the government, and I'm going to remove these power companies so that you don't get confused, and the steel companies as well, and the dinosaur, which is actually not a dinosaur, as Anisha pointed out just a short while back. It's going to have the last laugh, Coal India, but it's moving away right now. What we have here is the CBI. The government got the CBI in, and the CBI did some investigations, and the Supreme Court, the final authority in this matter right now, the Supreme Court here, the queen in the matter, it says that these people, these companies became princesses entirely arbitrarily, and that is what left some as pawns. And it said that all coal block allocations, the Supreme Court's view is that all coal block allocations, and I'm leaving just the Supreme Court here for you, all coal block allocations are illegal. But what do you do? What do you do? Do you turn these princesses back into pawns? What do you do about that? Or do you actually do something else? And that is what everyone's going to be looking at, Prashant. Whether the Supreme Court is going to save power and steel companies, which are already become princesses.
The government is arguing that make the princesses pay a fine to sort of allow them to stay princesses, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what it is saying.
Yeah.
And by the way, the dinosaur model is the one which fascinated me.
Yeah.
Is that a T-Rex? What is it?
For you.
And by the way, the dinosaur is going to get bigger. It's going to have the last laugh.
Yeah.
If, you know, it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
If everything is cancelled and maybe some of the blocks are actually given to Coal India. I don't know if that will happen.
If that happens,
it's possible.
Prashant,
Some are actually pointing to it.
Yeah. If that happens, then obviously this dinosaur just goes bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what happens, right?
Okay, that's a nice way to explain things, and Anand, I hope you get more props, and you know,
that's the great advantage of having two young daughters. You can actually get these props so easily, especially the princesses.
I figured.